It is Kenny of Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my video. As always, please like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. If you find this content helpful, entertaining, please like and subscribe. I sincerely appreciate that. In this video, I'm going to answer a question. Will I ever stop buying records at some point? When is enough enough? Now, the title, When is Enough Enough, is a video that was done by Dylan at Noble Records. He has this awesome YouTube channel, one of the best in the entire world as far as I'm concerned. Dylan is the real deal when it comes to doing these videos. He has a genuine quality to him, very knowledgeable about record collecting and doing these YouTube videos. What a sensational channel he has. But the title, When is Enough Enough, I got it from Dylan from one of his videos. And matter of fact, Dylan got it from somebody else, I believe. But I'm going to answer that question. Also, I'm going to answer 4 very intriguing questions by one of my viewers. You want to watch the entire video. The viewer goes by Bruce Crawford 2924. I'm going to answer 4 of his questions in this video as well. Just as intriguing, I think, perhaps, is will I ever stop buying records? And I'm going to answer that question. And I asked my wife that question. I asked her, do you think I'll ever stop buying and collecting records? She gave me an answer. I will give that answer at the end of this topic, her answer, what she said. You'll find that very interesting, what she said. But when is enough enough? Will I ever stop buying records? There's at least three variables in that equation. Oh, by the way, please excuse the distraction and noise from the ceiling fan above. I apologize for that. There are at least 3 variables in that equation. Probably a lot more than that, but I'm going to present 3 in this video. One is space constrictions. This room is not infinite in terms of space. It's finite. So I'm confined to space in this room. Now, there's some ways to get around that. I can get rid of albums that I don't listen to a lot. Some albums maybe you know, they don't appeal to me in the year 2025, the posting date of this video, as I did, let's say, in 1985. So I can free up some space that way by getting rid of some albums that are not as appealing to me at this segment of my life. I can do that to free up space. However, space is always at a premium. So that is a pacing item or determining factor whether I go forward with the record collecting or not. Another one is money. Let's face it, I'm retired, my wife is retired, and the funds that we had available during our younger years when we were growing and thriving and, you know, had a lot more access to money, well, during your retirement years, it's a lot less, and you have to prioritize your money more cautiously in more of, let's say, a responsible manner. So that is definitely a pacing item in terms of will I go forward or at the pace I will go forward. Money and funds is a factor in everything we do. So that is a pacing item. Money and space. Another one is desire. Our desires over the years as we grow and, you know, and change over the years, it changes. You know, my desire, I could, you know, wake up one day and say, you know, I don't want to do that anymore. It's a possibility. Who knows? So our desires, like I said, change and evolve as we get older. We might get into other things as we get older. Some of us who fish, some of us go, you know, camping. I'm not one of those, but people would do that. Maybe as you get older, your desire to do those things could change as you get older. You may want to get into other things, pursue other interests. Maybe other interests will replace your desire to be a record collector. So there's variables in terms of determining that. Will I ever stop buying or collecting records, and when is enough enough? But those are the 3 variables that came to my mind immediately: space, desire, and money. Now, will I stop anytime soon? The answer is no. Is that a possibility in the way, way distant future? I think it's a possibility for sure. Yeah. You know, your desire could change. Space, like I said, money. I might be in a position later in my life where my money has to go to something else. It could be a health issue or another issue where the record collecting become insignificant in comparison. So we don't know what the future holds. So I put that on the table. Yes, it is a possibility that someday I will stop buying records, or at least slow down significantly. That is a possibility. But only God knows, you know, who knows? But I think it is definitely a possibility. Like I said, space, desire, and money. So I think there is a possibility in the distant future I can stop, no doubt about it. But I think as long as I have an exploratory nature when it comes to music, when it comes to jazz and other genres, I will always be intrigued by exploring other types of music. However, there is the digital realm with digital downloads that do not take up space. But if we're talking about physical mediums like a CD collecting and record collecting, you know, that is a possibility. I decided that I was going to confine my collection to this room. I decided I'm never going to use a living room, a spare bedroom, me and my wife's bedroom for CDs and record collecting. And there's a hall closet across the way that me and my wife decided we're going to use for my overflow for my CD collection. But that's about it. And you can't see that. It's in a closet, a closed closet. The rest of the house, I will never store records in the rest of the house. So it has to be contained in this room. So space, desire, and money. Those are the three, you know, variables in terms of me saying yay or nay to stop buying or collecting records. And like I said, my desire could change. We'll see what the future holds. My wife answered the question. I asked my wife, do you think I will ever stop record collecting? I said, even when I turn 85, you think I'm going to stop buying records? This was her answer. It was a one-word answer. The answer was no. And she was really strong about that too. She said no. She said, I will always have a curiosity and exploratory nature when it comes to music. She said, Kenny, I don't think you will ever stop. And who knows, maybe she's right, but time will tell. Will you ever stop collecting records? Have you already? You know, space constraints, financial constraints. Have you stopped collecting records? Will you ever stop? I think is a possibility in my distant future. I think it actually is, more so than my wife. Time will tell on that. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Will you stop buying records? Like I said, I will always have a curiosity or exploratory mind when it comes to music, but there's always a digital realm. I can store music digitally in high-res files and listen to it music that way. You know, if I ever run out of premium space in my music room that God bless me with. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. But there's 4 questions, intriguing questions by Bruce Crawford. He goes by Bruce Crawford 2924. At least I believe that's who left this comment. He left 4 questions, and thank you for the questions. He asked these questions a good while ago, so I'm getting to them now. And the first one is, how often do you buy new versions of an album that you already own? How often do you buy new versions of an album that you already own? Well, it's not as much as you would think. Although, you know, you see me buying these UHDRs, these one-steps, the MPEX one-steps. Often they are represses, reissues of albums that I already own. I will say that. But it's not as much as you would think out there in the audience. It really is not. If I were to guess, I would say 1 out of 50 albums that I buy is an album that I already own. My record buying has slowed down a little bit since both me and my wife are retired. But if I were to guess, and it's very hard to quantify because I don't keep statistical analysis and data on this stuff, but if I were to guess, it's probably 1 out of 50, 1 out of 40. Be quite frank with you. It's not as much as you would think it is. Because I don't reveal all the albums that I buy to my audience. That's another factor that you have to consider. But I'd say 1 out of 50, 1 out of 40. Okay, here's another question. Do you find that you prefer an original pressing or vintage pressing over remastered pressing? That doesn't happen as much as you would think either. These remastered or reissue pressings, like say for example on the Blue Note Classic series, you know, they're mastered, you know, by Kevin Gray. Some albums mastered by some reissues on other labels mastered by Bernie Grunman, Ryan K. Smith. And they're using high quality equipment, some case tube equipment, you know, the best equipment, the best mastering engineers. They're made to rival original pressings. So it's not that often at all that I find a case where the original is better than a remastered version. Here's another aspect of originals versus remastered, is that original pressings are very costly. They really are. If you want a true original pressing, let's say a early 60s, late 50s Blue Note original, it can cost a lot of money, you know, to find one in you know, VG++ condition, whereas you can get a remastered version like for $40. So, and they're mastered by some of the best mastering engineers in the world, you know. So when you take that all into consideration, the cost of an original and the fact that they're doing high quality reissues in the year 2025 going forward, and before that, it's not often that I hear a remastered version that doesn't at least come close to the original at best, in my opinion. Now, there's some genuine qualities to original pressings. I get that. Some are very warm. They have that close to the original master tape than some of these remastered issues. I get that. But by and large, more times than not, I prefer the original, I mean the remastered version over the original. But like I said, sometimes they close. And I will put it to you this way. Sometimes they both have some excellent quality to them. Like I said, the original might have this original beauty and warmth and, you know, texture to the sound, where a remaster might have a its own genuineness in terms of the vision of the mastering engineer that puts it on a different pedestal than an original copy. So it depends, but more often than not, I prefer the reissue over an original because of condition issues as it pertains to original cost issues and condition issues when it pertains to originals. That is an issue. Here's another question. What are the 5 jazz albums that, in your opinion, blow the originals out of the water? I would love to see that in a video. 5 jazz albums that blow the originals out of the water. I think that's an overused term in the audiophile community. Blow something out of the water. I hear this a lot on the Hoffman forums and other forums. I know that there's some reissue albums that are significantly better than their originals, but blowing them out of the water, I only have one example for you. I've had time, I can think of more, but I have one and I'll show you in a few minutes. But I'm going to give you some examples of some that do not blow the original out of the water, even though the remastered issue, in my opinion, are better. Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. This is close to first pressing. It's not a first pressing, but close to it. And this is the MoFi standard version of it. And this is the one-step version of the same record, Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. Now this one, amongst those 3, is a better sounding record in my opinion. But it does not blow it out of the water. It's not even greatly significantly better, but it is better nonetheless. But it does not blow it out of the water. Like I said, that does not happen as much as people think it does. Matter of fact, I said on the video when I did a shootout of that album, check that out. I think it's my previous video, that the sweet spot is actually a standard MoFi or one-step of Bitches Brew. Some of you out there said the Vinyl Me Please is quite pleasing as well, that version of the record. But that does not blow the original out of water. This is not a jazz record, but I'm going to include this anyway. This is Steely Dan's Asia, a landmark in terms of recording and mastering the original pressing, in my opinion. And it's quite good. And this is a UHQR version of it. Anoff Productions Acoustic Sounds UHQR version of the record. To me, this does not blow the original out of water, but it is quite pleasing and significantly better. But it doesn't blow it away. But it is better. Sometimes better is marginally better, slightly better, significantly better, but blowing something out of the water, that's a different category that does not happen often, in my opinion. Another example is John Coltrane's ballads. This one does not get blown out of the water, by the UHQR version. It doesn't. Although the UHQR version is significantly better, it doesn't blow it out of the water. And I'm like I said, I'm giving you an example of an album being blown out of water, a remastered blowing an original out of water. The only thing comes close, and this one's very close, is Steely Dan's Pretzel Logic. Now this doesn't get blown out of the water by the UHQR version. It is not a jazz album, by the way. I know that. Okay. In my video, I thought that the UHQR version of Pretzel Logic sounded better. A lot of the audience thought the original sounded better. That's an example of one being like very close. But here's an example of a issue blowing the original out of the water. And it is the closest thing I have in my collection at the moment until further notice. Gets Gilberto. This is my original pressing. What blows that away, in my opinion, is Analog Productions Acoustic Sound Standard version. That's a 33 1/3. There's a 45 RPM version of the record. This is much better than the original. And what's better than both Analog Production version is the Impex one-step version of the record. That is significantly better than the original, in my opinion. That's the closest thing I think I have in my collection in terms of a reissue blowing an original out of the water. And the last question, what are the 5 albums that you think should be remastered but haven't been remastered yet? I did that in a video. I did a video of several albums I wish they would make into UHQR, and I'm going to re-show at least 5 of those. And that is Stan Getz' Focus album. This is the greatest Stan Getz album, in my opinion, the greatest album that he has ever done, this classical jazz fusion album. I wish this would get a high quality repress if it hasn't already. And I'm talking about an Impex one-step repress, a UHQR repress, Impex record repress. I wish you'd get that high-level repress, or even a standard Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds 33 or 45 RPM repress of these records. Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. I wish this would sound awesome if it was done in a high-quality repress version of the record. Mercy, 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 live at a club. One of the better live jazz performances on record. Cone Concert by Keith Jarrett. The greatest solo piano recording ever made, in my opinion. The greatest jazz piano improvisationalist who ever lived. I think he's the greatest jazz piano player of all time, too. Cone Concert, Keith Jarrett. I wish this would get a high quality, like a UHQR repress. And this one, to a lesser degree. Extensions by Manhattan Transfer, underrated, well, there's some jazz tracks on here, but an underrated vocal album, in my opinion. Extensions by Manhattan Transfer. I wish I'd get a repress too. But I hope that comes close to answering a lot of these questions. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. I really appreciate it. Very nice questions from Bruce Crawford 2924. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate that. Please, if you feel free, there's a PayPal donation link in the description section of my video that'll allow me to buy records to display and review on this channel if you leave a PayPal donation through the PayPal donation link in the description below. And also there's some Amazon affiliate links in the description below of some products for sale. I get a commission for the sale of those products. Even if you don't buy those products and go through those links and go to Amazon and buy the products you truly want, need, or desire, I get a commission for that sale as well. I appreciate a consideration on those 2 fronts. Thank you very much for viewing my video. Please like and subscribe. God bless, strong love, and more important than music, keep the peace worldwide.